Glad that you're tuned in to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. And speaking of Kingdom Financial Group, it's our monthly check-in with Ben Reiter, certified financial planner with Kingdom Financial Group. Let's get the phone number right at the top here.
Oh, okay. It's 814-836-5234.
Yeah.
That's not. I had to stop. I almost gave my cell phone number.
And again, the website is
kfg-online.com, or if you just Google Kingdom Financial Group in Erie, PA, it comes up. We're affiliated with Ameriprise, so that Ameriprise website pops up. That is us.
That's you.
We're easy to find.
I want to piggy off of the conversation I had about Erie Gives, and we were talking off air about, again, you're a huge advocate about being generous, especially when it's part of a plan.
Correct.
And so why don't we start with people your age? Mm-hmm. And, okay, let's say, you know what? I am passionate about what the city mission does, for example, or or Women's Care Center. I'm just thinking of these amazing organizations that help people when they really need it. Right
downtown Erie.
Right downtown Erie.
Amazing organizations.
Yes.
Lots of good people involved in that.
So what's a pro tip on being generous at Erie Gives or at the end of the year or whenever?
So at Erie Gives or whenever, it's about being ready. I think that as a CFP on this show, I've spoken. I subscribe to the theory there's only 5 things you could do with your money in your life, and if you're doing anything besides those 5 things, you're doing something wrong. And it's pretty easy. Number 1 is spend less than you earn. Number 2 is avoid the use of debt. Number 3 is prepare for the unexpected, because things are going to change. Number 4 is invest for the long term. And number 5, not to be forgotten, is live generously. We live in the wealthiest, craziest country in history of any. There's more people.
It's not just contemporary. It's in all of world history.
That the average person can't. I would argue that somebody would argue with me differently, but that the average people actually have control over some amount of money. That we have jobs that pay us every 2 weeks, that some people put money away into retirement plans or into savings. We're always concerned about how much money Americans are saving into savings accounts, and we should be, of course. But the numbers, I think if we did the studies to say what normal people are actually succeeding in life or have a bi-weekly cash flow. And you're right. I do feel passionately about it, of saying we should support our communities. We should support, there's theories out there that talk about how, as we go through life, we take care of our family first. We pay our taxes. It's kind of funny how that slips into number 2. Right. If you're
concentric circles,
yes,
right?
Those circles. Joel sees me drawing little circles on the table, and what we take about. And in modern times, I feel like community does slip away sometimes. Is that we think that the government's going to step into the big bad, the federal government's going to take care of different groups of people or solve these problems. Well, throughout history, that's not really where things effectively got done. Mm-hmm. It's in that smaller group of your community that you can get things done financially. And we don't tend to want to add that to our list. It's not the natural inclination to say, no, I already paid my taxes. They're going to solve the problems. No, it's actively being involved. And the benefits, of course, here I am. You have me on once a month as the money guy, and I'm going, the benefits, of course, people talk about it, are outside of money as well. It's good for you. It's good for the inside.
Being part of something greater than yourself.
And if you can make that a money habit, it will, the blessing from that of your own life is tremendous. It's going to make you more appreciative. It's going to open doors for you. You're going to meet new people. You're going to be involved with very talented people serving serving the community. And so on a day like Erie Gives, where they're promoting, I think, we were talking off air about some numbers and how it's grown over the last decade. And I go, it's because it's consistent. It's reminding people every year that we're doing this again. It's grown tremendously because more people are hearing about the message and more people in the community are getting involved with it, right?
Yeah.
It's not depending on other people to solve the world's problems. We're actively involved in it. In this area.
I want you, so again, for anybody up till like retirement age, more than likely that's going to be a cash gift, a check.
Yeah.
Don't go in debt to give. You don't want to do that.
Correct.
But then there's special circumstances that happen when you get into more retirement years. So explain that. And again, without getting too wonky, I guess.
Yeah, we're not getting too specific. Yeah. No, there's neat things that people in retirement is that it takes a little bit of analysis just to take a look at, like the fact that with retirement accounts, you reach an age that has required minimum distributions. And that happens even in the next few years. Those dates are changing. Like currently it's age 73. Some people had to start when they were 70.5. In the year 2030, that's going to age 75. So not to get too crazy, but the currently you can use some retirement accounts to do charitable giving from them, and you pay zero taxes on that distribution. So yes, we laughed about it prehand. I usually tease people and tell people, stop writing checks to your organization. Stop writing checks to your church. Instead, have it sent right from your retirement account.
Wow.
And now you don't pay any taxes on that money. Oh, pocket the savings if you want to.
Sure.
Or give that also.
Right, yeah.
It's
up the ante, right?
It's a follow all the rules kind of strategy of
Sure.
what those taxes are. And the government wants you to do that because they're encouraging people to invest in their communities. Literally what we were just saying a couple minutes ago. That's why it's built in there. It's a good thing.
Just again, so I'm clear.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a required minimum distribution and a qualified charitable distribution.
Correct. Two different things. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Required minimum distributions is an age-based thing that says you have to be removing money from retirement accounts by a certain age. A qualified charitable distribution is not required in any way, shape, or form, and is currently you're allowed to start them when you're 70.5. So 70 and a half.
Those do start.
Yeah,
and that hasn't moved at all.
Yeah, there's a date. That was a funny one during COVID. They started changing RMD ages, and they did not change the charitable distributions, which I'm happy about. They should give people more time to do that.
So if you're 70 and a half or coming up on it here, that's another reason to call your financial planner.
Figure out if you have the right type of account and if it makes sense. Not enough people actually know about it, in my opinion. I'm always shocked when people say, I've never heard of that. And I go, yeah, no, it's a huge tool for retirement. Change where your budget and monthly cash flow is coming from, and you save a lot in taxes.
All right, so we've been talking about the outgo of maybe your investments.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the income. So
Okay.
what kind of phone calls have you been getting lately? Because I feel like the market has red days and they have green days. Like yesterday was a green day.
Yeah, and in a generic sense, a few weeks ago, I feel like everybody was at all-time highs.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
I think no matter who you asked, I think June statements looked pretty good, and we're not at that number anymore.
No.
Right? It's a fun one for me because it has been a great few years in the market or in the investment world, is that things have been going really well, and so kind of across the board. And there's always some things that aren't, but if you pick any good year, there's always one or two bad months. And in any good year in the market, there's always one or two sectors that aren't doing good, right?
Okay.
And
how was 2025? Here we are 6 months later. When you look retro, how was that calendar year?
Generically, what's more interesting to me, and just speaking generically, is how similar 2026 has been to 2025.
Okay.
You don't normally get 2 years in a row that look very similar. Because in
Yes.
2025... We started the year off okay in January and February, and then something happened in March. Remember what it was, newsman?
That was independent. What do they call it?
Oh, yeah.
Revelation Day, Independence Day. I don't even.
Emancipation.
Emancipation. No.
What did he call it?
It was some
the tariffs.
Yeah, the tariffs.
The
Yeah,
tariffs.
that was just that just beat a lot of people up, and a lot of people are blaming that.
Yeah.
As being kind of the hinge to really the sour mood of the electorate right now.
Right.
But we're not talking politics.
No,
but
we're
you
talking.
know what I mean?
We're talking about the money.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yes. Yeah.
No, so it was fascinating though, because in March of last year, the market took a big hit. Why? Not because they announced the tariffs, not because anything went into place. It's because nobody knew what to think. You know, when he announces tariffs, believe it or not, some people think it was a good idea. Some people think it was overdue. Other people think it's a terrible idea. You're going to wreck economies. In truth, none of us average people knew for sure what was going to happen, which is uncertainty. I talk to people about investing all the time. I would argue that uncertainty is the one thing the market hates the most. Yep. And so that's why the market went down in March. Then the market, I'm just talking about money, sees that it was negotiations all summer. Is that every one of these countries, every one of these tariffs went through negotiations. Then it was negotiations even in our country. Are they legal? Are they not? Which ones can they place? But a lot of that played out, and we finished the year up. The market was up. It took a big dip in March, but it ended up being a solid year because a lot of things were growing. In particular, tech and semiconductors were doing really good last year, which is actually what's been going on in the last month. I can kind of talk about it, is that really for the last 8 months or so, people are starting to question, hey, is this tech and semiconductors are getting a lot of investments the last few years. Is it generating revenue? Mm-hmm. And so there's a question of, well, when will it generate revenue? And it feels like it's taking a little breather right now. Right. It's down a little bit. Here's my favorite part so far this year is there's a lot of other areas of the market that are doing just fine, that are growing. So that's pulling back a little bit, and that can cause the market to shift a lot. But we're seeing diversification kind of come back, where for the last however long, really one or two areas of the market really carried everything else.
That whole Magnificent Seven.
A few years ago, we're talking about the Mag 7. Seven stocks, 90% of the growth.
Yeah.
That's crazy, you know, and that's not normal historically for the market, is that you'd see other areas doing well. This is a time when you should look at the portfolio and say, well, how am I diversified? What am I exposed to? Am I diversified, or am I too heavy in one area?
Yeah.
So that's always been kind of the dangers. It's one of the things I would keep my eye on for the next few years.
So are your clients freaking? Are they okay? I mean, is the tortoise and the hare thing, where it's dollar cost averaging, steady goes the way? You know?
If you've been consistent the last 5 years in how you do things, how you invest money, what your risk tolerance is, the majority of the time right now, you're very happy to be able to look back and say 4.5 years ago we had a recession and it was a bad year. Why would we ever invest money if we go through recessions? That's frustrating, right? We got these bad years. So you have to have years like the last couple where it's growth.
Yeah.
And right now I would say overall with how things are, when you actually sit down and say, where am I at? Yeah. It should look okay. You should have been, I can't talk about anybody's personal experience on the radio, but there's a lot to like in the last couple years. So no, it's, I would actually laugh. I would say the last 2 years have been the easiest of my 2 years of my career when it comes to investing.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about, but
okay.
You know, it's kind of getting back to fundamental, and especially the last 12 months. Right. It feels very fundamental. Not anything blowing everything else out of the water, nothing else tanking. There's a lot going on in the world. My biggest problem, what I battle, is that people look at their phone 14 times a day to get an update, and it will drive anybody crazy. But right now we have this really good picture of the last 5 years that looks remarkably similar to most other 5-year periods in the last 100.
Okay.
Is that the market in the long run appears to still be operating on the same wavelength as it has for a long time. Short-term stuff Week to week, month to month, day to day is very volatile. The speed, we can talk about that some other time, but just the speed and the amount of information that's slamming into the market all the time kind of makes it day to day feel extreme.
Okay.
But when you get out further to 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, it looks pretty normal, which is fun and good and supposed to be very encouraging when you talk about investing, which is hard because there's other voices out there saying, "Oh, times are changing."
Yeah.
Well, when have they not?
They always change. Ben Reiter is our guest here. I'm going to pivot one more time for you. And I didn't prep you on this, so hopefully you're okay.
Financial advisor on the spot. I like it.
So last week, and we were just talking off air with intern Aiden, our biggest story on our website was the mayor commenting on this big report. You might have seen it coming out of the New York Post about Erie being designated as basically the second hottest housing market in America. That our houses only last about 25 days on the market. Hey, the stories I hear is that they last 25 hours. Literally something goes on and there's a contract by the next day.
Yeah.
Again, you deal with a lot of young families trying to get into their first homes. You deal with elderly folks that are dealing with their housing situation. The mayor was like, this is great news for Erie, but it's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Because we don't need any out-of-town investors scooping up our single-family homes and driving up costs even further. The wages have really not kept up with the cost of a house.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that? Can you weigh in on all of that and lean in on your expertise as you counsel people to buy and they're buying houses?
Yeah, it's an interesting big economic question of whether something like that is good news or bad news, right? And it's good news in a way for most of us because why would houses sell so quickly? It's pretty easy. There's demand, right? So why is there demand for people to live here? Maybe it's because the city's on the up the last decade or two. I remember
prices are still relative.
It's a nicer place to live, right? We're making investments in downtown things. They're making the Bayfront right now. They're making that road nicer.
$110 million.
Whether we all like it or not,
yes,
we're all going to have suggestions, right? But that's been going on for the last 10, 20, I don't know. You know better than I do.
Yeah.
How long it seems nicer. Erie seems nicer to me than when I came up here about 20 years ago. I'm local from just across the state line in Ohio.
Yeah, right.
But I go, it's a nicer town now than it was when I was in high school. A lot of improvements. But also, it does seem that the cost of living hasn't exploded, right? Is compared to when you look at national lists like that, they always pull up. What was number one? Do you remember? I don't.
And it was actually, I think, Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You know how expensive it is to live there?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
It's double the cost for a single family home.
Who wants to live here?
Yeah.
Normal people, right?
Right.
Cost of living is good.
Yes.
And you look at it attractive, and I think people are catching on. I think everybody who lives here is doing a good job of how beautiful is Erie during the summertime.
100%.
And if you don't mind the snow, this is a great place, right? And you got good connections. It's just a sweet spot, I think, right now in the history of the town of going that there is some really attractive places to live in and around town, and the cost of living is there. Now, it is a question of whether you want that to keep going. I think that there's some large employers in the area, maybe not even the obvious ones, but because some of these industries have continued to grow, so it's attracting talent, it's attracting people to live here. We continue to put on great events and things, so young people see it as somewhat cool, and to be, and I think regionally it has a fairly strong pull. So that's a slow process. People do get worked up about different things nowadays too, of well, wait a minute, what are the wages doing? And I go, that's good. I'm glad you say it out loud because that creates competition.
Sure.
I have young people that work for me that now make a lot more money than I did when I got hired. Right.
Now that is a very interesting thing.
I wouldn't be able to keep them because I know there's competition, right? Wow. And so as an employer, you got to know that sort of stuff and say, hey, if I want to keep that generation or keep it growing for the next 20 years, think about I'm going to go ahead and call it out. Like, think about the insurance industry. They gotta pay their employees well to keep them here because they want house prices to keep going up because that's how they make more money. It's a beautiful part about capitalism. If everybody's playing the right way, which
yes.
the system weeds out the people that don't, right?
Okay.
Because if you can't adjust, you're going to fall behind or you're going to not be in existence.
So in a nutshell, you'd say this is good news.
Overall, I mean, it's frustrating on individual levels sometimes,
I'm sure you have some of these clients that are like, I make these offers and I get overrun. And they get $15,000 over asking, yada, yada.
Yeah. I don't care about sharing this stuff. I mean, my wife and I sold a house last year. Man, that was stressful. You put it on the market on a Friday and you get one offer that first weekend, and we had to wait 9 days. It's like, no,
you're a stinker.
compared to the stories,
right.
But I don't like it. I'm a financial guy. I don't like making quick financial decisions. I would argue, people, if you got to do your homework ahead of time. I mean, I'd rather have a month to stew over a house. One of the largest financial decisions you're going to have in your entire life.
And it's forcing these young folks into these heavy duty.
Yeah, and so my cautionary, like an old fuddy-duddy financial advisor would be, think ahead of time. Is that if you really do, it is moving that fast. So make sure you know your numbers before you're walking into a house or before you're viewing something of what we would financially be okay with, 3 years from now.
Yeah.
The problems where markets get into it is when people make mistakes, like they get too fast, they don't think about it, and 3 years later they're trying to sell it.
And then they're underwater.
Yeah. Right. That's what you're going to avoid. This was
fun. We are out of
fun.
time, but thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Again, that phone number for Kingdom Financial.
814-836-5234. We're on 6th Street here in downtown Erie.
Ben Reiter, Certified Financial Planner. More ahead here on Talk Erie.